Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Pastor Kenji, and I'm one of the three chaplains who operate here at Rosemont Waters. And I would like, on behalf of the Lang clan, Glennis, and the grown-up children, Brett, Andrea, and Philip, and their spouses, I would like to, on their behalf, welcome each of you who have come this afternoon to farewell and to remember Lindsay Lang, a man who is certainly larger than life. Both Lindsay and Glennis have been long-standing members of this community here at Rosemont Waters, and both of them have, Lindsay was a member of Rosemont Church, and Glennis continues, of course, to be a pillar of our church here. So on behalf of Rosemont Church, I would like also to extend to you, Glennis, and to the children, our sincere condolences on the passing of your loved one. And I would like also to do so on behalf of the entire Rosemont Waters community, the staff, and the residents here in Rosemont, who I welcome if you're watching in Arana, our nursing home. And I'd like also to welcome all those who are joining us from near or far via the live stream. Lindsay Lang liked his freedom and didn't take well the fact that of late his movements had become restricted. He passed away on Monday, May 19, short of his 90th birthday. But death ends a life, but not a relationship. And today we are here to remember him, and we do so fondly. And as we treasure the memories, we pray and look forward to a tomorrow when we will see Lindsay again, and to a tomorrow when the shadows will flee away. I'd like to invite you where you are to please bow your heads as we invite the Lord's presence in our midst. Let us pray. Our Father and our God, a giver of life, God of hope, we lift our voice to you at this time. A difficult one for the Lang clan, the Lang family, and Glennis in particular, as she says goodbye to her husband. A difficult time for the children, the grandchildren, as they say goodbye to Dad and Pop. Lord, we lift our voice to you because you've promised to us that even though we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, like we all do at some time, we thank you for the promise that we are not left alone, but you journey with us, alongside us. And I pray at this time in a special way for your Spirit to bring in due time comfort and healing. And I uplift Glennis and the children and the entire family in your presence. We lift our voice to you also in thanks for the life of Lindsay. As we will hear, he has been instrumental, Lord, in sharing your word in his own unique style and way, with his broad smile. So we want to give you thanks for his life. May we learn from him, and as we say goodbye to him, Lord, give us the assurance that it is only a goodbye, because there will come tomorrow, when we will see Lindsay again, and we will be with him longer than we will have been without him. May the blessed hope of Christ sustain us at this moment. We humbly pray in Jesus' name. Amen. I also would like to welcome Pastor Roger Millis, who served as pastor here at Rosemont Church and also as chaplain in Rosemont Waters. Pastor Roger Millis is the one who will share the word with us this afternoon. Abide With Me was, I believe, one of Lindsay's favorite hymns. So I'd like to invite you to sing along with us, and I'd like to invite Wendy to lead us into this favorite of Lindsay's, Abide With Me.
Looks like it's me now. So Warwick Long, some of you would know Warwick, some of you wouldn't, but is that loud enough? Off the mic, yeah. But I've known him, you have too I think, Graham, since we were little, and Philip, but since I was probably about 5 or so. And to do things properly, Roger's a professional, and he wanted to know pretty much what I was going to say during this time. And so that was a few days, and I'm normally one that does it at last minute, aren't I, Mum? And because it's like the vibe of it and stuff, you know. Anyway, I texted this to Warwick and I said something about, but I've got this strong urge to go rogue. And then he said, Lindsay would go rogue, just saying. So, so I'm going rogue by even saying that. It's not on the script. And another thing, back in 2018, Dad said, you notice he's not here today. And I'm not making fun of him. But he said this. He said he wants to go straight from the hospital, assuming he was going to go there, to the crematorium without a coffin. Says a coffin is a waste of money. So there you go. So we've honoured him in that respect. So I'm here to share a little about Dad's life. That's officially what I'm here for. That is Lindsay Calvin Lang, known to you as brother, as dad, Linz. That was the next one. How are you reading this? Uncle Lindsay, Pop. Did I miss any? No. Okay, so I got it. Dad was the son of Daisy Blanche and Kenneth Finlay Lang. Brother of Joan, who's not here, may be watching, may watch it at some point, but she's also in residential aged care. Wendy, who's predeceased, and Rodney, who's here today, and he'll speak directly after me. Husband of Glenys, my mum, of course. They were married on the 25th of June, 1960. It's the 10th today. Mum's birthday was yesterday. And they were married for nearly 65 years. It was going to be 65 years on the 25th. He's also dad to me, as I said, to father-in-law. Sorry, I'm getting mixed up now. Father-in-law, that's right, if I don't look at it, Joe, Glenn, and Antonella. And Pop to Cherie. I did see Cherie, yeah. You know, I'm going to point till I find you, don't to Cherie, husband Andrew, or Andros, Michael, and partner Shanice, Luke, Nathan, and Chloe. And Dad said on a number of occasions before his 70th birthday that he wouldn't make old bones. I reckon he did make old bones, I think by anyone's stretch of the imagination. Nearly 90 years of age, which September was his, was nearly that. He was born on Southern Cross on the 3rd of September 1935, 4 years to the day before Great Britain declared war on Germany, and as a result, Australia also entered the Second World War. These were serious times. Dad's earliest memories were as a 4-year-old on the dairy farm in Southern Cross. He told of a snake longer than a 6-foot fence was high, another snake that was hovering around his head until his mum rescued him. Put him on the scones, didn't he? Hot scones, wasn't that right, Rod?
Mum jumped on the scones to get away from the snake.
Oh, is that what it was? He remembers giant centipedes and spiders, mad bulls and horses, and of course cows, given it was a dairy farm.
They used to tease the bull.
They used to tease the bull. I don't know if that's in your repertoire, but there's many, many stories. So I'm going rogue again. I'm actually tried to record a lot of stuff from Dad. I gave him a dictaphone, a proper good professional one, and so on, and it's some really high quality stuff, but only lasted about 32 minutes until you've now got a 2-minute version of me explaining to him how, this is years ago, how you press you turn it off by pressing the red button and so on. So the technology escaped him at that point, but we got 32 minutes of it and a few videos as well, haven't we, Phil? Yeah. So Dad lived in a variety of places as a boy. The family lived in Hardy Road in Belmont, and there was a dairy and a swamp over the road and down the hill a bit. Was that right? As it went down, Rod? Yep. And Dad would say it was bush from there to the eastern states. And it probably was, apart from some settlements, but yeah, very different in those days. Growing up wasn't easy for Dad. The family was moved from school to school about 6 times, I think he said. Dad said that kids picked on him in primary school and they wanted to fight him. He didn't know why. Perhaps because he was new, perhaps because he was tall. On one occasion, trying to protect himself, he began choking a boy around the throat. He turned blue and only stopped when the girls came out, saw it through the window and came out and intervened. He told us that the teachers were cruel. You know, he was in this group where, you know, they give him the cuts. This is, again, the sort of thing that used to happen back then. So he hated school. But there was one teacher Dad remembers with fondness. He taught Dad and Rod's mum. He taught Dad, and then he taught Rod as well. His name was Chucky Henville. Is that correct? Yep. And he preached his Christian faith in kindness and engagement with the kids. Dad said if he had a teacher like that in his early years, he could have done anything in life. At the age of 14, a teacher who could obviously see his situation whispered in his ear and pulled him aside and said, look, there's a mid-year intake for apprentices. Why don't you have a look? And they went through and selected carpentry and joinery. And Dad said, and I've got this on video, I think it was at the 80th birthday perhaps, the day I rode to work for the first time, it was one of the best days of my life. The sky was bluer, the birds were singing. I'm not going to get belted anymore. I am going to do work with woodworking, because he just loved that. And whilst I digress a little as well, the opening song, Rod said that Dad really loved that. It's not one we would have heard, Paul Robeson. Does anyone remember Paul Robeson? Yeah. So he sings this song. It's a little unusual because we don't understand the words. It's actually a Native American song, I believe. But the context of it is that it was talking about the people, particularly in Canada, who were chopping down huge logs of trees and so on. And it was part of their struggle in life and so on. So it's actually really apt, Rod, because Dad loved trees and he loved working with trees. You know, the wood. What a blessing wood is. So Dad continued his career as a cabinet maker with his whole life, providing quality work at a fair but often underpriced price. Dad loved his mum. She raised 4 children on her own in the 30s and 40s. Because of his dad's absence, Dad had to become the man of the house. He took that responsibility seriously, giving the pocket money he earned by selling newspapers as a boy, as a tradesman giving almost all his pay each week to his mum to sustain the family. At Dad's 80th birthday party, he referred to his mum as the greatest person on earth. Here's a story that I think illustrates this love. One night he wanted to go fishing to catch cobblers in the Swan River. His mum had been working all day and she didn't get home until about 6:30 that night.
You can't tell this one, I'm going to tell it.
Are you? I'll stop then.
No, you go for it.
No, that's good.
No, you're just crushing me.
No, I'm stopping now, Rod. I'm stopping.
No, I want to hear your side of it.
Now let me go. You're the one going rogue, and I love it, Rod. I love it. Because that's it, you know. And yeah, there's another rogue down here too, and another one over here. And yeah, we've all got a bit of rogue in us, haven't we? Who has got a bit of rogue in them? Good. Because you know what? I'm going rogue again. How do you get to nearly 90? You know what? I observe this. I work with the elderly. Many people do. I work with the elderly. And you see the people that have made it. Often they're a little bit on the edge. They're a little bit crotchety sometimes and stuff like that because it's got them through. Sometimes it doesn't always serve them well. Again, Dad, you're having falls and so on, not wanting to accept the limitations. But nevertheless, that's how they get there. That's how they go through this time, you know, because they have got that oomph in them, that rogue, if you like. Finish the story. Well, your mum got home at about 6:30. It was raining, not unlike today. It didn't stop them. They set off at about 9 o'clock. Mum was on the bike. They had one bike. She was double dinked. They had a fishing rod, no lights. Oh, hang on. They had a hurricane lamp. And they sat there till about 11 o'clock at night. Dad's mum died at the age of 51. So she never saw Dad married. Never saw his kids. Did you see her, Richard? Did you meet her? You did. Yeah. 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 So, yeah, everyone speaks so highly of her, you know, and I never met her, but I look forward to seeing her. Dad's certainly expecting to see her again. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm immensely proud of my dad. He overcome his father's influence by providing with his mum a safe and loving family environment in which to live for me, for Philip and Andrea. Are you Andrea? I can't quite spot you. There you are. Did I not mention you before? Yeah, I remember us kids would take turns laying our head on Dad's legs, ears up, with him gently caressing our ears with his rough tradesman's hands. What a delight. What a wonderful childhood memory. And I remember sitting in his lap. He would say, I think of Michael and that. You're a huggy boy, you know, when you're little, and sitting on Pop's lap and stuff. And he'd say to me, you'll get old, you're too old for this one day. And I'd strongly protest and said, that will never happen. Of course he was right. We all have to grow up, but I have those memories with me for life. Now, you'll notice a bit of something here representing flying. This is sort of a bit of a funny one. Dad was fascinated with flying from an early age, and he loved to go to Jandakot Airport just to watch the planes come in, didn't he, Phil? Luke and Nathan. And he did realise his dream of flying an aircraft himself, hence the Flight Pilot's book, which Roger recognised. Now, this was no ordinary situation, him getting his private pilot's licence. He was always worried about money and so on, but then he secretly began flight training. So Mum was working in Rossmoyne here, and she would work every fortnight. So what Dad would do is sneak out every fortnight to go flying. I mean, it's just awful. He didn't tell us about it. Did you know? Oh, you knew. You could be trusted. I couldn't be trusted.
Dave used to wash his shirt because he used to sweat a lot, and came around 8 in the morning to give me Dad's wash.
There's all these family conspiracies, Mum. But what he did, we didn't talk about the phones, but that's all right. What he did, every fortnight wasn't enough, was it, when you think about it? Most people did it like once a week or something. And what he did was he'd rehearse this in his mind. The high-level athletes would do this, wouldn't they? You think about it, that's the edge, isn't it? Everyone's fit, everyone's this, everyone's that, but the high-level athletes rehearse stuff. Now, I thought that Mum would divorce him. Seriously, because he'd spent money on things like guns and V8s and all this sort of stuff, right? I'm not going to talk about that. But there's this sort of thing. That's who he was. And he didn't have money for a private pilot's licence, but Mum didn't divorce him. Mum understood. I have great respect for you, Mum, with that. You chose to understand the importance that was to Dad, and that just blew me away. Dad talks of having his life spared through God's intervention. He told quite a lot of stories here. I'm actually going to skip through this because otherwise it's going to take me forever, but he did do his own electrical work. They can't prosecute you from the grave, can they? He wasn't a registered electrician. One day he was fitting ceiling fans and he had the switch in his hands and he actually got jolted and it went like this, and I remember it was my room. And so wallpaper, do you all remember wallpaper? That was the thing. And this big switch scraped the wallpaper off. You know, it had this big gouge in it and so on. Now his heart, it went right across his chest, he describes it as. He felt his heart beat rapidly. At least it did that, Justine, you know, and didn't stop, which is probably the thing. But yeah, he lived to tell another tale, and that wasn't the only time. You'll notice another bit of memorabilia down there. Can you see that cutting wheel? Have you ever seen those big grinders? They're like a widowmaker, if you like, you know, of power and proportions. They're huge things. You've got one, have you? I've still got it. I was going to bring it in, but it might... It's huge, like it's enormously powerful. He had this, I'm going to read this. The face shield had become a hindrance to the precise operation of the cutter, as it was difficult to see through. Seconds later, the 12-inch wheel exploded, resulting in a full thickness laceration through his upper lip, with enough force to break his dentures and severely bruise his forearm. He was feeling faint with blood everywhere, managed to stagger out to the driveway, and Mum called the ambulance. Could easily have blinded him or killed him if it had just gone that or there. Anyway, he was protected. Snake hunting. We lived on this 1 acre block in Kelmscott where the occasional visitors of a reptilian kind, predominantly dugites, came to visit. One day a dugite was spotted on the property with its last known location, the vegetable garden. Lindsay, the great snake hunter and protector of the family, went into action. Due to the vegetation, it was difficult to locate said snake, so an old favourite, petrel, was brought into the equation to do some instant defoliating. The first round of petrol was ignited without incident, but also without finding the snake, so a second application of the fluid was applied. there were evidently some embers still glowing because the jerry can of petrol then ignited with flamethrower intensity. In the excitement that ensued, Dad stumbled around with his legs and arms flailing, caught up in the chook wire that was being used for the peas to climb. His guardian angel worked overtime that day as he suffered no harm. Whether the snake survived or not, I'm not sure. There was another one which Dad talks about, and he was on a motorbike. He ended up sliding onto the side. Richard's heard this before. So would Phil and Andrea and so on. And this guy just turned in front of him. So he dropped the bike and he was skidding from side to side, he tells the story, on the crash bars because it was an ex-police bike. And he was just heading there and all of a sudden he felt these warm hands on his. He felt the bike come upright and he either stopped or was around the other side of the car. Whatever it was an impossible situation. He saw that as divine intervention. And he saw also that the young kid, he describes him as, was crying because he thought he'd killed him. He knew he'd done the wrong thing. So there's so many things we haven't talked about. He loved hugs. He was always there if you needed him. He was fiercely independent. And thank you, Gervais. Thank you so much. And I'm glad that you are speaking. I remember Dad was in hospital, one of his visits in there, and I said to a group of people there, I said, Dad had asked for a pastor to visit. And I'd said, Dad, I'm your pastor. You know, I'm here with you. I didn't want to bother. Anyway, when I mentioned this to Gervais, boom, he says, I'll go. And he did. He visited Dad. And just again to interrupt, Roger too, he has a different part of, they've seen different parts of Dad's life. And I really appreciate you. Roger's retired and he's busier now than he's ever been, I think. Yeah, and also I want to thank the staff, his friends certainly, but the staff in Arana and Sherwin Lodge as well. Beautiful people that care when you can't provide that care, you know. And it's my heart goes out to them. I'm just so grateful to them. Dad used to modify things to make them better. We all know that. It was always better, wasn't it, Glenn? He loved animals and he loved his dogs, Cindy, Georgie and Tess, Chloe's dog Belle, and would sit on the lounge and talk about literally anything with her on his lap. He would emphatically state how he couldn't believe how people didn't believe in intelligent design. He often stated that he'd want to be put on an island where Sir David Attenborough was, genuinely believing he could convince him of this scientific truth. And you know what? You just never know, do you? A man with simple faith, a simple logic with science to back him. Yeah. And he wasn't just a storyteller, was he? He was a performer. He didn't just tell the things there. He had competitive bike rider. I'm not even going to touch on that, Rod. The Nashos, which he loved. And if you don't know what that is, ask someone older. Foundation member of Belmont SDA Church. It goes on and on and on. There are many names I haven't mentioned, like Anne, who can't be here today. I have mentioned Richard. See, you're in the thing about it. And their kids. Nola, Gary and Stephen is here, yeah. And other family that I haven't mentioned. I apologise if I haven't mentioned you there. Now, I've mentioned the bitten brace that's down there, but there is another thing. It's Dad's old Bible. Did you see it? This tells us a lot about Dad. It's old, sure. It had been retired. You know, it's over 60 years old because it's older than me. What's he done? He's fixed it. You know what that is? That's from welding gloves. They're from welding gloves. And he would have used contact adhesive on that because you know what? Dad was a doer. He was a doer. He wasn't going to let that get in the way of using his beloved Bible. So he did do that. So as I say, that tells us a lot about him. He's even written the holy part of the Holy Bible on there. Again, I'm not ridiculing. This is Dad. This is who he is, you know. And it's wonderfully functional. It's unconventional, but it's functional. And that was Dad. He'd make things work. He was a very talented craftsman, not just in his field of training, in other areas as well. And, yeah. If you have a look in the Bible, I didn't know, I hadn't looked through it before. It's got lots of notations. You know, he didn't just fix the Bible. He actually read the Bible and he saw the truth in there. And if anyone that knows Dad, he would know that his greatest desire in life was for all of us to know Jesus as our friend. He said this many times, I'm sure, anyone who's been around him. Dad knew that to know Jesus is life-changing and life-saving. I know that Dad will be made alive again when Jesus comes back, and his body will be fresh and young and perfect. Dad wants that for us too. Do him a favour and consider finding out more who Jesus is and what it means to be his friend. Now is the time. O death, where is thy sting? O grave, thy victory. Rod, it's your turn.
Oh, no, I'll go.
Yeah, come on. I'm right there too. The legend of Dad lives on, and his younger brother. See, I didn't go into all those statistics of Cohen. This is the little boy who used to, Dad would tell me stories about you so little he'd crawl into the veggie garden. This I'm filling in while you get up there, right?
Good on you, mate.
And so he'd get the, was it the spinach? Was it?
Spinach, yeah.
Spinach, and he'd lean it over. He's so small he couldn't even reach up, and he'd be chewing on it. That's why you made it to 87.
Well,
Nearly
it
87.
reminds me of the story. We used to pass the cabbage under the front veranda because we didn't like cabbage to Malcolm Atwell, who was a state footballer. He used to eat all their cabbage. That's why he became a state footballer. But I thought, yeah, it'll be a pretty hard act to follow, and you were magnificent, mate. Bit of BS in there, but you're...
Don't get the truth.
My beautiful brother Lindsay Kelvin Lang, he used to call me Young'un. He shared priceless memories with his older sister Joan, who's 93, and she would love to have been here, but she doesn't travel too good. And Wendy, who's deceased, and me. And our history started off at Southern Cross, where Mum had 4 children in 6 years. And there are lots of little stories about Southern Cross. They used to tease the white rooster by throwing jam tins at it, and then they'd run for home, and I was a little one, I used to trip over. The bloody white rooster used to get stuck into me. Then they'd get on the shed and tease the bull. We had a black bull. And they'd poke faces at it. And it would go insane, this bull. He knew it was being got at. And it'd rear on his back legs trying to get up on the roof. And the farmhand made a cubby house for them out of lovely branches, boughs. And the kids were inside playing, and the black bull knew that, and he went for him, and he couldn't get his shoulders through the doorway. And the old man came along with a bullwhip and hunted the bull away and shot it. But it was their fault. They used to tease the bull, and the bull was going to settle. Now, Lindsay, you mentioned he was an achiever. He was an achiever. My big brother, I was proud of my big brother. G'day, Jamie. He didn't see you. He was a master woodwork tradesman. His woodwork was supreme. He was a top state road bike rider. He could on occasion beat the best riders in Western Australia. He did in fact win a big race down at Collie, but I'll tell that story now. My mother was a wonderful person, as you said, and she was Lindsay's greatest supporter. And they did go fishing that night. My mother sat on the crossbar, hanging onto the bait bag, and a hurricane lamp. The bike had no brakes, no lights. That was Mum. She supported Lindsay, and they were great mates. And as you mentioned, Lindsay, he built a bike out of the scrap heap, made a push bike so he could deliver newspapers. And with that newspaper money he used to give to his mother. He also bought his lovely sister Joan's first dress so she could go to a dance. She didn't have the money, Lindsay found some. He was a wonderful man. He loved flying and he loved planes. That's why he got his pilot's licence. As I said, he was a state bike rider and a boat builder. You didn't know he was a boat builder. You didn't mention boat building.
No, I didn't.
No, well, there you go.
What was it made out of?
He built a magnificent craft called the Waterloo. It consisted of a rusty bit of galvanised iron, which he bent both ends around, then went outside the Hardy Road, 51 Hardy Road, Belmont, opposite the Hunt Club, scraped some black tar off, cooked it up, and in it went, sealed off both ends, and after a few attempts he could actually paddle it. And that was his pride and joy. But once again, he was an achiever. He came up to me one day and he said, "Hey, young'un." I said, "What?" He said, "We're going to go to learn boxing." And I said, "Are we?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Why are we going to do that?" And he said, "Well, we've got to learn how to protect ourselves." He said, "We both had a few hidings, which didn't do us any harm, but we had a couple of wins." He said, "Yeah, we're going to go to boxing and we'll fight at Unity Stadium on Friday night under another name. We're going to have white shorts on with an eagle on one leg." He had it all worked out. So I started getting pretty excited about this. Then he's come to me and said, "Hey, young'un." I said, "What?" He said, "We're going to learn dancing." I said, "Hang on, we're going to win the rights to learn how to dance. We're supposed to be going to Unity to learn how to box." He said, "I've worked it out, mate. We'll have more chance of coming home to Mum with no broken nose and black eyes if we go dancing." Yes, my boy, Lindsay, he set himself to win a race, a bike race, down at Collie where we could bet on. It was one of the only places in Western Australia you could bet on bike riding. Lindsay wasn't a punter, he never had a bet in his life, but he went around the ring before the race and asked, "What price is Jamie? What price is Steve? What price is Brett?" All different prices. And then, "What price Lindsay Lang?" And they said 20 to 1. And I don't know how much money he had in his pocket. It wouldn't have been a lot, but he had it all on himself at 20 to 1. And we waited up. I waited up with Mum. She was in the double bed with a light on waiting for him to come home. And he eventually came through the door at 11:30 at night. And Mum was so expectant. And she said, "How did you go, son?" And he produced a beautiful stainless steel dinner set in a jarrah case. He said, "That's yours, Mum." And he said, "And this too." And he pulled out handfuls of pound notes. The 20 to 1, the poor old bookies. Let's say a prayer for the bookies. Anyway, he loved two songs to my knowledge. One was Judy Garland singing "Somewhere Over the Rainbow," and once again that was flying. That was Lindsay being free and flying, and he loved that song. And if you listen to the words, they're beautiful. And the other one was Paul Robeson, the world's greatest bass tenor, baritone. And he sang the boat song out of a film called "Sanders of the River." Golden memories of Lindsay. He's a kind and loving man, a decent bloke, and our regard for Lynn was endless. We all loved him, and he loved his family. He was a champion family man. We forgot to mention that. He was just a champion family man. We love you, mate, till we meet again. Thank you.
So there we go. He was a family man, he was an honest man, he was a kind man, he was a hard-working man. He was one all-round nice guy. He's my dad. He was always there for me throughout my life, whether it's piggyback rides or arm wrestling. He was there in my darkest times. He was my shining light. He always stood up for his family as long as you were telling the truth and being honest with him. I remember him saying he'd take a lion on with my bare hands, and I actually believed him. And now that I've got my own children, I know what he's talking about. If you break down in the middle of the night, just give Dad a call, he'll come out and get you. He's my personal RAC, most reliable man. He was the best cabbie, as Uncle Rodney said, good all-round tradesman. I'll never forget when he asked me to unload a truck. He'd somehow stacked his truck up the night before. It would have been about 10, 12 feet high on his little truck. He did it all himself, and you wonder why he kept on getting hernias. So we go to the other end, I meet him there, and one slipped off on it was about 10-foot drop, accidentally slipped bang on the ground. We just literally picked it up, brushed it off, that was it. No damage whatsoever. These days it'd be in a million pieces. I'm definitely a chip off the old block when it comes to the old V8 speed power and stuff like that, and I've passed it on to my boys. I got this VK 5 litre, and it was pretty loud and pretty quick. Dad couldn't wait to drive this car. So we take it for a drive down Lake Road. Back then I had a car phone, biggest waste of money. He said, put it out. I was on the phone with a friend of mine. He said, put it out the window. Dumped it back. Before we knew it, we were doing, yes, just a little bit over the speed limit. Coming the other way is police. So we're doing more than double the speed limit and turned their lights on. For some reason, kept going. Don't know why to this day, doing that speed over, they just let him go. But Dad being Dad, don't worry, son, talk us out of this, don't worry, quite easily. He's also a hard-loved man, tough-loved man, very disciplined man, but also surprisingly merciful. Like the time I took his beloved V8 Valiant, at the tender age, I think 14 or 15, for a thrash around the neighbourhood. For about probably 3 hours, used 3/4 of a tank. Because we had our own tank at home, we could fill it back up. Dad didn't say anything. A couple of days later, he came up to me and said, what are you, an idiot? He goes, don't you think the neighbours are going to tell me what you were doing? So he didn't, and that was it. Didn't do anything. I think he did that just because it's something he would have done. He loved his family more than anything. Luke and Nathan loved Pop. They used to fight almost when Pop came around to visit with Nana as to who gets the first poppy back massage. He was famous for it. He loved Aunt like a daughter and was proud to call her his daughter. It meant the world to him. And it meant the world to him that near the end all his family was with him and he knew that we were there. Dad, we're going to miss you so much. Until we meet again, it's not goodbye, it's see you later.
It's my pleasure and honour to read this tribute from Andrea to her dad. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for coming along today to remember and celebrate the life of my dear dad. With thankfulness in my heart, I feel so blessed to have had Dad as a part of my life for so many years. And the memories I have of him, I will treasure forever. Dad was special to me in lots of ways. I believe that many years ago, Dad was chosen by God to be my dad. He took me in as his own from a newborn baby. He cherished me, adored me, and loved me with all his heart. Dad always protected me, stood up for me, did anything and everything for me. He will always be the best dad I could have ever wanted, and I will always be his little girl. Dad worked very hard to provide for our family. He was always there for us and spent many hours taking us kids where we needed to go. Even in the earlier years, he would often have a sore back from his work, but this never stopped him giving my brothers and I piggyback rides down the passageway on Friday nights. All three of us at once. I have happy memories of family holidays in Kalbarri, also canoeing down rivers together in the canoe that Dad made, and many Sabbath picnic lunches. We went to different places like Kings Park and Tomato Lake, but the one which I'm sure was his favourite was picnicking with family and friends beside the airport runway. I will remember these special times we shared, just me and Dad, riding around together in his little white truck to pick up garden supplies for his carpentry, collecting truck loads of rocks to line all the garden beds with, going to the tip with him, and just talking to him and watching him intently as he worked in his shed. I remember the cubby houses Dad made for us, all the wooden furniture he made for my dolls. He always filled up every bedroom we had with all the cupboards we could ever want. In one bedroom, I remember there was a secret cupboard, a place where we could go and hide in if ever the need arose, he said. As we got older and needed furniture for our own homes, Dad was always there to help. Bookcases, tables, baby cots, drawers, cupboards, dressing tables, beds, you name it, Dad made it. Even the homes we moved into after leaving the family home were all renovated and repaired by Dad. He spent endless, exhausting days and months working on them, making them the best he could. Even in his 70s, Dad wanted to paint our new house in Bustleton, and he did. Everything he did for us was always with love. I think Dad was known for his special hugs. Family, friends, grandchildren, people at church, and even strangers. Dad always had a special hug for them. When I visited him while he was still able to stand, he always had one of his special bear hugs waiting for me. The sort where he holds on for ages and squeezes me half to death, not wanting to let go. All Dad's grandchildren had a special place in his heart. He loved them to bits and would often say so. He was always concerned for them, and they were always in his prayers. Recently, he loved to see the photos of his new 2 great-grandchildren. If he had been in better health, he would have loved to embrace them also with his love and hugs. Searching through my drawers the other day, I found 2 letters that Dad had written to Cherie when she was only about 5 or 6. He expressed how much he missed Cherie and her brother Michael, and how he couldn't wait to see them again. He always signed off with lots of hugs and sealed it with a loving kiss. He had a special way of connecting with the kids and knew just how to talk to them to make them feel loved. Pop will always have a special place in their hearts. Dad loved pets, especially his little dogs. Cindy, George and Tess spanned over his lifetime from when I was born. He was always happy with a little dog by his side or sitting on his lap at night. When Mum and Dad moved into the unit at Rossmoyne, Dad missed his little dog terribly. But he was always excited to tell me when he was going over to Brett's house. Over at Brett's house was a little dog called Belle, and Belle's favourite spot was sitting on Dad's lap. For as long as I can remember, Dad was always a fussy eater, especially for anything that might be good for him. Mum never knew what to give him for tea, but he was always good at raiding the kitchen cupboard for bickies when Mum wasn't looking. Dad liked to share his food with the dogs too. In the letter to Cherie, he said, "Well, my sweetheart, I'm going to cook 3 crumpets now for tea, and Tess gets a bit off every one." Sweet memories to cherish. So the time had come and our hearts were sad, but we knew it had to be. We said our goodbyes. We held Dad's hand, and although he couldn't talk, the look of love in his eyes said it all. Dad, you showed me the love of our Heavenly Father. No matter where I came from, you accepted me and loved me as your own daughter. You embraced me with affection, you protected me and always loved me, no matter what I had done. It won't be the same without you, but rest your weary body now and be at peace. No more pain, no more struggles. Thank you, Dad, for a lifetime of happy memories. It's with joy and excitement that I look forward to seeing you again when Jesus comes. I'll be waiting for that special hug. Not long now. Love you forever, my precious Dad. Always in my heart. Love, Andrea.
Well done.
Thank you, Joe, for sharing that, and thank you, Andrea, for your thoughts. Thank you, Brett and Philip, for your memories, and Rod for sharing from a sibling. I think we could probably summarise all that by saying Lindsay was a strong man. He was a man's man. Am I right? Very much so. He liked, as you saw, the wind beneath his wings, and I guess the one regret I have is that he was very keen for me to take him flying, because I too am a pilot, but it never quite worked out. Yeah, he liked the wind beneath his wings, and he liked the horsepower under the bonnet, and he liked talking about it. He, as you have heard, lived a very full and a very rewarding life. A life lived in serving his family, serving others, serving the clients that he supplied and worked for, and the community at large as well. When I hear stories of people like Lindsay, I always, and when I'm talking to them, and this goes back to my years as a aged care chaplain, I always like, as I listen to their stories, to ask, what made you tick? Why were you what you were? Why did you do the things that you did? And you didn't have to ask that question very long to get the answer, and family members have shared it very clearly this afternoon. Lindsay was a man of faith. He believed there was a God. He believed that God was his God. He believed that God was integrally interested in his life. And as you've heard, some of the times when he believes that God intervened to save his life. He believed in Jesus. He didn't just believe that Jesus was a historical figure who split time in two. We mark all of history as having happened before or after Jesus Christ. He didn't just believe that he was a historical figure. He believed in him. He trusted him. He made him his friend. And what Jesus said and what the Bible said was what settled it for Lindsay. If the Bible said it, that was enough. He didn't argue and question and try and explain it away or listen to what everybody else said. If it said it, that was enough for him. He was satisfied. He had his answer. As Brett mentioned, Jesus was his friend and his biggest desire in life, and he shared this with me many times as we chatted, was that every one of his family members and everyone that he knew should come to know Jesus, not as somebody to be frightened of, but rather as their friend. And there was a pretty simple reason for that, because he believed what Jesus himself said when he was on earth, when he said, God loves you so much. That's why he sent me, Jesus Christ, from heaven down to earth, mingle with people, to heal them, to help them, to encourage them, to lift up those that were put down by others, and whoever believes in him, that Jesus lived and died and rose again for you, will have everlasting life. And it's just been so great to hear every one of you that's shared here this afternoon just share that assurance that you will see him again, because he put his faith and trust in Jesus. And Jesus said, whoever believes in me, they might have a sleep, but it won't be the end. They will come back to life, be raised to life again. And that would be a different world. It wouldn't be the same. Lindsay believed the promise that Jesus gave to his best friends just before his own death, when he said, don't be stressed and upset by the things that are going on around you in the world, the things that cause other people to give up on life. He says, no, I'm going away. I'm going to get a place ready for you. Enough room and places for everyone who wants to have that hope and that future. And when it's ready, I will come back and I will take you to be with me where I am. And he said at that time, all the wrongs will be righted, all the injustices will be taken care of. Everything that makes life unpleasant and hurtful will be replaced with life and youth and vitality. A V8 won't match it, Philip. That's what enabled Lindsay to face the end of his life unafraid. He knew what the future held for him, and he knew, as the song goes, more importantly, he knew who held his hand, and he had that confidence. He knew that who held his hand was the same one who, when he was on planet Earth 2,000 years ago, said, I am life. I am the resurrection. If you know me, that's what you can look forward to. Lindsay firmly believed Jesus' promise that one day, just as certainly as he came 2,000 years ago, Jesus would come again from heaven, and that those who had gone to sleep, as the word Jesus used, those who had died, but believing and trusting in him, would rise back to life again. That was his hope, that was his expectation, and there was no question about it as far as Lindsay was concerned. And the very last page in that Bible of his says, encourage each other with these words. And let me share the words with you. God, the one who loves you, will wipe away every tear from your eyes. There'll be no more death, sorrow or crying. There won't even be such a thing as pain. And we know that Lindsay knew a bit about that. All these things are gone forever. Listen, says Jesus, I'm going to make everything new. And you can believe it because these words are true and faithful. What a life, what a hope, what a future. Reflect on that as you reflect on Lindsay's life in pictures.
Standing strong, standing a wise, righter of wrong, hater of lies, laughed as he fought, worked as he played, as he has taught, let it be made, away you go, ye could dare, and make it so, ye could dare, together all the battles fall, in tune and time, so look alive, ye could dare, and dip and thrive, ye could dare, the current swings, the water sings, the river rises.
top, that's where you find me, oh, somewhere over the rainbow. Bluebirds fly, and the dream that you did to, oh why can't I? Well, I see trees of green and red roses too. I watch them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Well, I see skies of blue and I see clouds of white and the brightness of day. I like the dark and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people passing by. I see friends shaking and singing, how do you do? They really say, I love you. I hear babies cry and I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than we'll know, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Someday I wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where trouble melts like a lemon drops high above the chimney top. That's where you find me, oh, somewhere over the rainbow, way up high. The dream that you dare to, why, oh why can't I?
Perhaps love is like a resting place, a shelter from the storm. It exists to give you comfort, it is there to keep you warm. And in those times of trouble, when you are most alone, the memory of love will bring you home.
Perhaps love is like a window, perhaps an open door. It invites you to come closer, it wants to show you more. And even if you lose yourself and don't know what to do, the memory of love will see you through.
Oh, love to some is like a cloud, to some as strong as steel.
For some a way of living, for some a way to feel.
And some say love is holding on, and some say letting go. And some say love is everything, some say they don't know.
Perhaps love is like the ocean, full of conflict, full of pain. Like a fire when it's cold outside, thunder when it rains.
If I should live forever and all my dreams come true, my memories of love will be of you. And some say love's holding on, and some say letting go.
And some say love is everything, and some say they don't know. Perhaps love is like the ocean, full of conflict, full of pain, like a fire when it's cold inside, thunder when it rains.
If I should live forever and all my dreams come true, my memories of love will be of you.
Thank you to Brett and whoever was responsible for putting that together. Let's just bow our heads. Our Father in heaven, we've reflected this afternoon on Lindsay's life. We've heard from family and from friends. But we just want one more time to say thank you to you for giving us the gift of Lindsay. A husband, a dad, a brother, a pop, a friend. We thank you for the memories that each one of us have. But above all, we thank you for the fact that he had you, Jesus, as his friend, and for the difference that that made in his life, the kindness, the love, the generosity that he expressed to others, because he knew you not as a God that was harsh and judgmental, but a God who loved him, who gave him life day by day. We just pray that you will surround Glennis and each of the family members, Brett and Andrea and Philip and their families, with your love, with your comfort. You've promised that when we grieve, we will be comforted. Please do that for each one of us today, and guide us in our lives as you have guided Lindsay, as our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you all very much on behalf of the family for coming and being here and supporting them. And I know there's probably many more stories that want to be shared. And so just at the far end of this room, there'll be some refreshments, some drinks, some nibbles there, and you'll have an opportunity. We'll ask the family to lead the way, and then you'll have an opportunity to mingle, to chat with them. Thank you very much for your presence, your attendance, and your support. God bless you all.
that adds the stress to you. Poor guy, it's on his mind. He's scared. You know, it's scary. It's scary, so you understand his tension. Because it doesn't help you. And it'll be over soon. So the thing about